This guy was a man of many hats. On this episode of Antique Bottle Stories. Joseph Burnett was born in 1820 in Southborough, Massachusetts. In 1837, he graduated as a doctor of chemistry and started working for Theodore Metcalfe Company, who were druggists in Boston. Several years later, in 1845, he became a full partner with Theodore Metcalfe Company, and then it was known as Burnett and Metcalfe Chemical Company. The year after he partnered, he came up with the anesthetic used by Dr. William T. Morton to perform the first public painless surgical operation in the United States at Massachusetts General Hospital. After that, Dr. Morton insisted on using Burnett's anesthetic exclusively. A monument commemorating this achievement is located in the Boston Common. So a year after the anesthetic, in 1847, Burnett switched gears and created the first liquid vanilla extract, which would probably end up becoming his most popular product. A man ahead of his time and considered one of the few chemists actually qualified to make quality products, Burnett believed in supplying what his customers needed. In New York, he bought a pound of the very best vanilla beans and in his laboratory experimented until he was satisfied with the quality. Burnett sold the very first vanilla extract in this country. In 1847, the same year he came up with the vanilla extract, he bought 2 farms in Southborough to form Deerfoot Farms Company. It amazes me the work ethic of the people back then. This guy is now involved in 3 businesses at the same time. Joseph Burnett decided to build a stone mansion for his family in 1850 in Southborough, which still stands. Him and his wife had 12 kids. His extracts were doing very well, so in 1855 he sold his partnership in the Burnett and Metcalfe Chemical Company, and he soon needed a bigger place, so he moved his extract shop to 27 Central Street in Boston, which may be around here somewhere. He ended up producing about 33 extract flavorings along with over 50 other items like food colorings and puddings. In 1857, he shifts gears again. Cocaine for the hair became a popular product very quickly. It contained cocoa nut oil and 50% alcohol. It was advertised as the ideal compound to stimulate healthy and vigorous hair growth. Labeled a perfect hair dressing, Burnett promised his hair treatment would restore lost hair and prevent it from falling out. It says it's the absolute cure for dandruff. At just 50 cents a bottle in 1859, it was also promoted as the best and cheapest hair dressing in the world. The product was very successful, and the latest thing that I can find for it is a trademark renew in 1927, so this was produced for over 70 years. The company would produce a line of medical and personal care products as well. He built an Episcopal church in 1862. And in 1865, he founded the St. Mark's Private School in Southborough. This guy is a machine. Almost 20 years into the extracts business, Burnett's extracts are now sold overseas. About 20 years into the farming business, in 1871, Joseph Burnett started making sausages, and once people tried it, everybody wanted the recipe. Deerfoot Farms began producing and selling sausages on a commercial basis. Their sausage would gradually become world famous. They would also produce bacon, ham, frankfurters, lard, and other pork products. After graduating from Harvard, his son Edward became president of Deerfoot Farms Company. Joseph continued as president of the Extracts Company until his death. In 1879, Deerfoot was the first dairy to use a centrifugal separator commercially. It looked a little something like this. This cream separator is now in the collection of the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. And in 1880, Deerfoot Farm became one of the earliest dairies to bottle milk and cream products in glass. This was a great convenience and provided a sterile package to sell their milk. In 1892, another one of Joseph's sons, Robert, became Deerfoot president when Edward left to serve in Congress. Then in 1894, Joseph died in a carriage accident. He was 74. Robert, who's president of the farming company, became president of the extract company as well, and for 6 years he did them both. Then his other brother, John T., who was a postmaster of Boston at the time, took over as president of the extract company. At its peak, Deerfoot Farms owned close to 1,000 acres. New and larger farm buildings were built, including a large hay barn with cow sheds, 4 farmhouses, a workers' boarding house, and stables. A sausage factory and a new dairy were also opened. The barn and cow sheds were advanced and set the bar for the agricultural industry. An ice-making plant was installed at the dairy sausage plant with water supplied by artesian wells. And by 1911, Deerfoot began pasteurizing its milk inside the bottle, the most famous of the new dairy farms to do so. The process required a special style bottle with a metal cap to prevent contamination and deterioration by the brine solution used in heating. In 1922, the Joseph Burnett Company relocates for the last time to D Street in South Boston. The factory was sold in 1947 and it's currently a condominium. In 1925, Edward Burnett died, age 76. In 1929, John Torrey died, age 60, and then 2 months later, Robert Burnett died, age 76. In 1929, M. Krause and Brothers of New York handled Deerfoot Farms pork distribution in New York City until 1970. It's not clear who is running the other parts of the businesses at this point. During World War II, Deerfoot supplied pork products to the soldiers and was recognized by the government and presented with an award for outstanding production. During the 1940s, Deerfoot celebrates its 100th anniversary, and by now, Deerfoot sausages were featured on the Thanksgiving and Christmas menus at the White House. They were also on menus of hotels, restaurants, cruise ships, and railroads around the world. 99 years after producing his first vanilla extract, the Burnett's Extract Company was sold in 1946 to American Home Foods Incorporated, which eventually phased out the Burnett's products. Deerfoot Farms kept going for several more years, and it doesn't really say why, but the Deerfoot dairy operation closed in 1959 and was sold, and the farm acreage was sold, and the barn sheds were torn down. 3 farmhouses became private homes. Then, 10 years later, in 1969, the meat processing plant was closed and sold. The Deerfoot Farm Company name was no longer used. I have one bottle. It's aqua. It looks to be machine-made, cork top. Around 1920 is when the food companies switched from using aqua bottles to clear bottles to show off the product better. And it was also around 1920 that machine-made bottles kind of took off. So it seems to fit right in this transition time around 1920. And that's all I've got for this one. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.